Tier 2. Roman Hold Jar. An ancient Roman jar discovered in pieces at the Museum of Ontario Archaeology presents a puzzling mystery to historians and archaeologists. The clay vessel, reconstructed from 180 fragments and dating back around 1800 years to Roman Britain, is perforated with numerous tiny holes, including one at its base, which complicates its possible uses. The jar's origins are linked to artifacts excavated by William Francis Grimes from a World War II bomb crater near a Mithric temple in London, although there's uncertainty about whether this jar was part of that collection. The jar's presence in the museum's collection is somewhat mysterious, as it's not listed among the artifacts received from Grimes, and there's a possibility it could have originated from another collection, possibly from due to a mix-up or misplacement. The primary enigma revolves around the jar's function, given its peculiar design. Theories about its use vary widely, from a lamp to a container for small animals like dormice, a popular delicacy in ancient Rome according to historical texts. However, the typical Roman dormice jars differ in design, typically featuring a ramp for the rodents. Another theory suggests the jar might have been used to contain snakes, with the holes preventing them from escaping while allowing air circulation. Despite various speculations, no definitive conclusion has been reached about the jar's original purpose, and it remains a topic of ongoing research and debate among experts. Meanwhile, it is on display at the Museum of Ontario Archaeology as part of an exhibit showcasing Roman Britain and inviting the visitors to ponder its mysteries firsthand. The Calixtlahuaca Head. In 1933, Jose Garcia Peon, an archaeologist, made a discovery in Calixtlahuaca, located in the Toluca Valley, 60 kilometers west of Mexico City. He found a small head with features that appeared foreign and not characteristic of the local pre-Hispanic populations. This artifact was uncovered beneath two undisturbed cemented floors that predated the destruction of the city by the Aztecs in 1510. The associated artifacts were identified as belonging to the Azteco-Matlazinca period from 1476 to 1510, suggesting the head was from a time before Hernan Cortez landed at Veracruz in 1519 and subsequently conquered the Aztecs in 1521. The head caught the attention of Robert Hine Guldern, an Australian anthropologist, in 1961. He stated that the head unquestionably originated from the Hellenistic Roman school of art and suggested it dated around AD 200 based on its distinctive naturalism. This view was later supported by other scholars, including the president of the German Archaeological Institute at the time, indicating a Roman origin. The artifact was largely forgotten until 1990, when Romeo Hristov, an archaeology student, located it in the National Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, where it was classified as colonial. Further studies by Hristov and others supported the Roman origin theory, specifically linking it to the style prevalent during the Severian emperors around the 3rd century AD. A thermoluminescence test conducted by the Max Planck Institute for Kerpensick aimed to determine the age of the artifact. Although the test faced technical difficulties, it suggested a broad possible age range between 870 BC and 1270 AD, thereby supporting the artifact's pre-Columbian status rather than its initial colonial classification. The ongoing debate regarding the head's origin involves significant scholarly discussion and technical analysis, reflecting on the broader implications of such findings on our understanding of pre-Columbian transoceanic contacts. This particular artifact could potentially indicate contact between Roman civilization and the pre-Columbian civilizations of the Americas, a hypothesis supported by instances of other anachronistic artifacts found in later archaeological contexts in Mesoamerica. How did the Dogon tribe know about Sirius B? In 1976, Robert Temple's book, The Sirius Mystery, introduced a fascinating hypothesis suggesting the Earth was visited by extraterrestrial beings from a planet orbiting Sirius a few thousand years ago. This theory stemmed from the knowledge possessed by the Dogon tribe of Mali, as documented by French anthropologists Marcel Griaule and Germain de Terlin during the 1930s and 1940s. The Dogon, a tribe located 300 kilometers south of Timbuktu, had a cosmology that included detailed knowledge of astronomy, which was remarkably advanced given their lack of modern scientific equipment. The Dogon allegedly knew details about the solar system that were astonishing for a tribe without access to telescopes. They understood that planets orbited the sun, and they knew details about Jupiter's moons and Saturn's rings. Most intriguingly, they were aware of Sirius B, a companion star to Sirius, which is invisible to the naked eye and was only discovered with modern telescopes in the 19th century. They described Sirius B as a dense, heavy body made from a special metal, aligning closely with the scientific description of it being a white dwarf composed of degenerate matter. Several theories have been proposed to explain how the Dogon might have come by this knowledge. Carl Sagan speculated that the Dogon could have been influenced by external visitors who shared astronomical knowledge with them, potentially a European who had read about these astronomical phenomena. This external influence might have integrated with the tribe's traditional lore by the time Raoul and Diterlan were conducting their fieldwork. Another perspective suggests that the Dogon's knowledge of Sirius B might simply be a mythologized account of genuine astronomical observations. Their understanding of astronomy could have been more advanced than commonly acknowledged, possibly aided by centuries of stargazing tradition and oral history. In contrast, more skeptical viewpoints argue that the Dogon's knowledge might have been misunderstood or overstated by the anthropologists, or that the Dogon lore might have evolved under the influence of modern ideas introduced by outsiders, including the anthropologists themselves. Walter Van Beek's research in 1991, which aimed to validate the Dogon's astronomical knowledge, found no substantial evidence that the tribe had any significant ancient knowledge about Sirius B, suggesting that the earlier reports might have been influenced by the anthropologists' interpretations or miscommunications. Mysteries of Silbury Hill. Silbury Hill, located in Wiltshire County, England, is an enigmatic prehistoric site that was constructed by a Neolithic community between 2400 BC and 2300 BC. It is the largest man-made mound in Europe, composed of chalk, clay, gravel, and sarsen stones sourced from the nearby area. The structure stands about 40 meters high and spans approximately 5 acres with a diameter of 167 meters. It is believed that the hill may have originally had a rounded top, which could have been modified during the medieval period for fortification purposes. The construction of Silbury Hill is estimated to have taken place between 2490 and 2340 BCE, based on carbon dating of an antler found at the site. This dating suggests that the hill was built over several generations, possibly requiring hundreds of workers and spanning around 100 years to complete. The construction involved multiple phases, starting with a small circular mound that was progressively enlarged by adding more materials from nearby quarries. Despite its impressive scale and the effort required to build it, the purpose of Silbury Hill remains a mystery. It is not thought to be a burial mound, as extensive archaeological investigations have not revealed any human remains that can be definitively linked to its construction period. Various theories have been proposed regarding its function, ranging from it being a ceremonial site, a marker of territorial claim, or a platform for rituals. The hill has a history of archaeological interest, but also of damage from these investigations, which began accidentally in 1723, when a skeleton was reportedly discovered during a planting activity on the summit. Since then, several organized digs have been undertaken, notably by figures such as Edward Drax in 1776 and Professor Richard Atkinson in the 1960s and 1970s, none of which have conclusively determined its purpose. Damage from these excavations, along with natural wear, led to conservation efforts between 2007 and 2009 by English Heritage to stabilize the structure and prevent further degradation. Today, Silbury Hill continues to be an important archaeological site and a focal point for studies on Neolithic Britain. The Black Pyramid of Amenemhat III. The Black Pyramid of Amenemhat III, known as the Black Pyramid due to its dark, crumbling exterior, is an intriguing but lesser-known structure compared to Egypt's pyramids. Constructed during the reign of Amenemhat III, who ruled in the 12th dynasty, this pyramid was originally intended as the pharaoh's tomb. However, due to construction issues, Amenemhat III abandoned the site and chose to build another pyramid in Hawara. The Black Pyramid is located in Dashur and was used as the final resting place for some royal women, though it is unclear exactly who is buried there. Over time, the pyramid suffered extensive looting and damage, losing much of its original treasure and structure. When archaeologists began excavations in the late 19th century, they found that the pyramid had been extensively quarried for its stone, which was reused in local village construction. Intriguingly, some of the stones that remained were found to have inscriptions and artwork indicative of much older dynasties, suggesting that Amenemhat III repurposed materials from earlier structures. This pyramid stood originally at 75 meters tall, with a base length of 105 meters. One of its most fascinating features discovered was a massive false door, a common element in Egyptian tombs intended as a portal for the deceased's spirit. False doors were believed to lead to the underworld and were crucial for the spiritual journey of the Ka, an aspect of the soul. The underground structure of the Black Pyramid revealed a complex layout of chambers and corridors, which housed sarcophagi and canopic jars, containers used to store the internal organs of the mummified individuals. Despite the extensive looting, the layout and remnants within the pyramid provide significant insights into the burial practices and architectural advancements of the time. Amenemhat III's decision to abandon the Black Pyramid in favor of a new burial site at Hawara shows the challenges and changes that occurred during pyramid construction in ancient Egypt. The history of the Black Pyramid, with its initial grand design followed by its eventual decline and repurposing, reflects a period of Egyptian history where religious, cultural, and political factors influenced monumental constructions. The mystery of Bosnia's ancient pyramids. The Bosnian pyramids, discovered by Samir Osmanagic, a Bosnian archaeologist living in Houston, Texas, present an intriguing but controversial topic in archaeology. Osmanagic claims to have discovered the world's oldest and largest pyramids in Visoko, Bosnia, and Herzegovina, which he claims date back to 12,000 years ago. This assertion, if true, would significantly predate the construction of the famous Egyptian pyramids and radically alter our understanding of European prehistory. Osmanagic's discovery centers around several hill formations near Visoko, primarily the Visotia Hill, which he has named the Pyramid of the Sun. Standing at 720 feet, it surpasses the Great Pyramid of Giza in height. Nearby, he identified two other pyramid-shaped hills, the Pyramid of the Moon and the Pyramid of the Dragon. According to him, these structures form part of a vast complex of ancient constructions that could represent some of the earliest examples of monumental architecture in human history. Despite his enthusiasm and the support from various local and national figures, the scientific community largely dismisses his claims. Critics argue that the hills are natural formations and that his interpretations are examples of pseudo-archaeology, more aligned with nationalistic pride than actual scientific evidence. The geological composition of the hills, comprising of conglomerate, clay, and sandstone, is consistent with natural processes rather than construction materials. Geologists and archaeologists from the region and beyond have repeatedly pointed out that the layers of material in the hills do not indicate human alteration. Furthermore, investigations into the supposed concrete blocks used in pyramid constructions have shown that they are naturally occurring sedimentary conglomerates. In 2006, a group of Bosnian and international experts issued an open letter criticizing the project for lacking rigorous scientific methodology and potentially causing damage to the real cultural heritage and archaeological record of Bosnia. The European Association of Archaeologists and several prominent scholars have also voiced their concerns, labeling the project as harmful to both scientific integrity and the archaeological landscape of Bosnia. Political and economic dimensions also play a significant role in this pyramid controversy. Osmanagic's claims have garnered significant media attention and tourist revenue for Visoko, a town that suffered greatly during the Bosnian War in the 1990s. The pyramid hypothesis has been embraced by some local and national leaders, not only as a source of national pride, but also as a potential economic boon. The alignment of Osmanagic's findings with elements of Bosniak national mythology, which portrays Bosniaks as descendants of medieval nobility, adds another factor of complexity to the public reception of his work. On the ground, the impact of his pyramid claims have been substantial. The area has seen an influx of tourists, and local businesses have capitalized on the renewed interest in Visoko. Osmanagic has established the Archaeological Park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation, which manages the site and promotes further excavations and investigations. This foundation has received significant funding, both from Bosnian sources and international donors, which allows the continuation of excavation and conservation work, despite there being skepticism in the academic community. Bronze Saunier. Father Antoine Gélis, the priest of Custassa, was found brutally murdered in his own home on All Saints' Day, 1897. He was a man that had a lot of mystery around him and wasn't particularly beloved by his parishioners, and rumored to possess a considerable fortune, which was unusual for a village priest. His unexpected and violent death led to a wave of intrigue and speculation due to the circumstances surrounding his demise and the items discovered in his possession. Gellius was known for his reclusive and somewhat paranoid nature. He took precautions such as locking his doors and installing a bell on his door to alert him of any intruders. On the night of his murder, however, the bell did not ring, suggesting that he willingly opened the door to his assailant, possibly someone he knew. The scene of his death was gruesome, with signs of a struggle, yet none of his valuables appeared to have been stolen. Instead, authorities found ancient gold coins and significant sums of money, raising questions about their origins and Gellius's activities. The investigation into his murder was complicated by the discovery of a pack of a Hungarian-made cigarette paper with Viva Angelina written on it, a clue that baffled the investigators as it pointed to a foreign element, while Gellius had no known connections outside of France. The mysterious visitor who was last seen entering Gellius's house and the strange circumstances of his death led to various theories, none of which were confirmed, and the murder remains unsolved to this day. Father Veronze Saunier, a contemporary of Gellius's, served as a priest in the nearby village of Rennes-le-Chateau. His story also involves a lot of mystery and speculation, largely due to the discoveries made during the renovation of his church, St. Mary Magdalene. Saunier found parchments hidden within a pillar during the renovation, which supposedly led to a significant change in his lifestyle. The documents were rumored to contain historical and religious secrets, possibly pertaining to the treasure of Blanche of Castile or the Merovingian dynasty. Saunier's sudden acquisition of wealth following the discovery led many to speculate about the nature of the documents he found. He spent lavishly on renovations and lived a lifestyle that far exceeded what his position as a village priest should have allowed. His renovation choices were eccentric and included symbols and decorations that some interpret as clues to a deeper secret, possibly involving the Holy Grail or the bloodline of Christ. The mystery surrounding Saunier and his connection to Gellius is deepened by their shared history and the similarities in their secretive behaviors. Saunier's dealings and the subsequent changes in his life have led some to think that he may have been involved in Gellius's murder, perhaps to keep a secret hidden. The discovery of similar parchments and the coded message found in Saunier's possession after his death only added to the enigma. Saunier died under mysterious circumstances as well, and his confessor's shocked reaction to his last confession and the refusal to grant absolution suggests that Saunier's secrets were deeply troubling. His housekeeper, Marie de Narand, kept his secrets until her death, never revealing the true nature of the discoveries of Rennes-le-Chateau. Ghar Dalam. Ghar Dalam, known as the Cave of Darkness, is located on the island of Malta in the Mediterranean. This cave is quite significant because it contains evidence that humans that were present on the Maltese islands as early as 5200 BC, which predates the construction of the pyramids and Stonehenge by about 2000 years. The cave is part of a larger geological formation and dates back to the Ice Age, approximately 12,000 years ago. During this period, Malta and Sicily were connected by a land bridge, which facilitated the migration of various species to the islands. The changing sea levels due to the freezing and melting of ice caps over millennia played a crucial role in shaping the island's geography and the formation of caves like Ghar Dalam. The cave itself extends about 145 meters in length and contains a rich repository of fossils that tell the story of the island's ancient fauna. Remarkably, many of the animal remains found in the cave are of pygmy and dwarf varieties, including elephants and hippopotami. These smaller species likely evolved due to the island's limited resources and absence of large predators. The cave's museum, managed by Heritage Malta, shows these findings and provides insights into the prehistoric ecosystems of the Maltese islands. One of the cave's most intriguing aspects concerns and remains believed to be from early human inhabitants. In 1917, archaeologist Giuseppe discovered pterodont molars in the cave, which led to debate about their origin, whether they belonged to Neanderthals or more modern Neolithic humans. Despite various studies and carbon dating efforts, the exact age and classification of these teeth remain part of an ongoing debate among scientists. Menhir. A menhir is a large upright standing stone that was erected during the prehistoric period, primarily found across Europe, Asia, and Africa. These stones vary in size and are often shaped to taper towards the top. Although they are sometimes found as solitary stones, menhirs can also be part of larger groupings. The term menhir is derived from the Brittonic languages, with main meaning stone and hir meaning long. The distribution of menhirs is quite widespread, with a significant concentration in Western Europe, particularly in Ireland and Brittany. Menhirs are not only of historical but also of archaeological importance, as they provide insights into the cultural and religious practices of the societies that erected them. Despite extensive studies, the exact purposes of these standing stones remain quite speculative, with theories suggesting their use in religious rituals, as territorial markers, or as part of a broader ideological system. Menhirs are often linked to the Neolithic and Bronze Age cultures, particularly the Beaker culture, known for its distinctive pottery and burial practices. Historically, menhirs have been associated with the Druids, though this connection is largely a result of mythologized interpretations. The stones often feature carvings including anthropomorphic figures and various symbols, which are believed to hold religious or ceremonial significance. Archaeological studies have shown that the construction of menhirs dates back to as early as 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, with recent research suggesting even older origins in regions like Brittany. This challenges the earlier assumptions that linked menhirs primarily to the Beaker culture of the late Neolithic and early Bronze Age, around 2800 to 1800 BC. Menhirs are sometimes found near sites with religious significance in later periods, indicating their ongoing cultural importance. For example, the South Zeal menhir in Devon, England, was integral to a 12th century monastery and is still present in a hotel bar, showing the continued reverence or interest in these ancient stones. The cultural importance of menhirs goes beyond Europe though. In Brittany, for example, alignments of these stones, such as those found in Karnak, are some of the most famous and extensively studied megalithic sites. These alignments suggest sophisticated understanding of design and space, and perhaps a communal effort in their construction, indicating a well-organized society with shared spiritual or communal goals. Superhenge. Recently, British archaeologists discovered a significant stone monument known as Superhenge, located just 2 miles away from Stonehenge. This new finding at Durrington Walls, one of the United Kingdom's largest known henges, could reshape current understandings of the area's Neolithic landscape. The newly identified monument is approximately 15 times larger than Stonehenge and consists of about 90 massive stones that may have originally stood nearly 15 feet tall. The stone monoliths were found buried beneath the bank of Durrington Walls and may have formed part of a grand Neolithic monument. This discovery was announced at the British Science Festival in Yorkshire, leading to discussions about the need to potentially rewrite the history surrounding Stonehenge and its purposes. Researchers used non-invasive, remote sensing technologies to locate these stones, which suggest a previously unknown complexity in the prehistoric landscapes of the region. Durrington Walls itself is a pretty large structure surrounded by a ditch that forms an enclosure covering roughly 1 mile of land. The site also features a massive bank about 130 feet across and up to 10 feet high in certain areas, forming the outer perimeter of the henge. Within these boundaries are smaller enclosures and timber circles pointing to a sophisticated use of space and ritual by Neolithic peoples. The researchers speculate that these newly discovered stones at Durrington Walls were pushed over and buried under the earth mound around 4,500 years ago. This act could indicate a significant cultural or ritualistic shift. The site's proximity to the river Avon and its placement near a natural depression surrounded by a chalk scarp suggests that this area was of special significance, possibly serving as a C-shaped arena for community gatherings or rituals. The only large stone previously associated with the Durrington Walls henge, known as the Cuckoo stone, hints that the newly found buried stones might also be made of sarsen, a type of sandstone used in the construction of Stonehenge. This suggests a possible link in the materials and cultural practices between the two sites. These findings are part of a broader research initiative, the Stonehenge Hidden Landscapes Project, which aims to explore and map the ground around Stonehenge using advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar. This project has already revealed that Stonehenge is not an isolated structure, but part of a vast network of ancient monuments, including various ritual sites encircled by wooden posts, stones, or earthen banks. Legend of Wise. The Legend of Wise is a Breton folklore tale about the rise and fall of a once magnificent and mythic city known variously as Wise, Caris, or Ice. According to the most traditional versions of the tale, the city was built by King Ghar Dalam, or Galon in some accounts, in the Bay of Dornines. Originally constructed above the waterline, Wise was known for its beauty and grandeur, rivaling all European cities in its splendor. However, due to land erosion over the centuries, the city faced the threat of being submerged by the sea during high tides. To protect Wise from the waters, a massive dike was constructed with floodgates that could be opened to allow ships into the harbor at low tide and closed to shield the city during high tide. King Ghar Dalam held the sole key to these gates, which he wore around his neck, symbolizing his control over the city's fate. The city of Wise became a haven for pagan practices, particularly those led by Ghar Dalam's daughters, Dahut, who was deeply enamored with the sea. Unlike her father, who had converted to Christianity influenced by Saint Winwullo, Dahut and many citizens of Wise continued to worship pagan gods. Dahut was known for her extravagant and hedonistic lifestyle, often involving rituals and celebrations dedicated to the sea, which she revered. Her actions, however, led to the city's reputation deteriorating, as Christian authorities viewed it as a den of sin and corruption. According to the legend, the city's downfall began with the arrival of a mysterious red knight whom Dahut fell in love with. One stormy night, under the knight's persuasion, Dahut stole the key to the city gates from her father and gave it to him, only to discover that he was the devil in disguise. The gates were opened, and as a result the sea surged in and flooded Wise, washing away its wealth, beauty, and life. King Ghar Dalam escaped the disaster with Dahut on his magical horse, Morvich, which could gallop on the sea's surface. However, as they struggled against the flood, Saint Winwullo appeared, urging Ghar Dalam to save himself by sacrificing his daughter to the sea. Ghar Dalam, faced with the divine command, reluctantly threw Dahut into the ocean, where legend says she became a mermaid, a spirit leading sailors to their doom. The tale of Wise serves as a moral story, reflecting the tensions between pagan and Christian values during the time of its origin. For Christians, it was a tale of divine retribution against sin, symbolizing the victory of Christian virtues over pagan excess. From a pagan perspective, it could be seen as a tragic saga of a vibrant culture and spirituality overwhelmed by the rising tide of a new religious order. Blue Men of the Minch. The Blue Men of the Minch, also known as Storm Kelpies, are mythical creatures from Scottish folklore. They are said to inhabit the waters of the Minch, a strait separating the northern Outer Hebrides from mainland Scotland. The legend describes these beings as looking similar to humans, but distinguished by their blue skin. They are roughly the same size as humans, and are known for their ability to create storms and capsize boats. The Blue Men of the Minch are depicted as having long, grey faces and arms, with the ability to speak and engage with humans. They typically swim with their torsos above water, similar to how porpoises dive and twist. They are known to sleep or float just beneath the water's surface when the water is calm. During storms, they become active and are said to attack ships by challenging the ship's captain to a rhyming contest. If the captain fails to complete the rhyme, the Blue Men will attempt to overturn the ship. These creatures are part of a larger group of mythical beings in Scottish folklore, often associated with sea or water bodies. The Blue Men have been likened to Kelpies, shape-shifting water spirits that usually appear as horses and are known to lure people into the water. The term Kelpie itself may come from the Scottish Gaelic words that mean heifer or colt, reflecting the creature's common equine form. There are several theories about the origins of the Blue Men myth. One suggestion is that they represent a personification of the sea's dangers, embodying the unpredictable nature of the ocean and its storms. Another theory links them to the Picts, ancient inhabitants of Scotland known for body painting, possibly giving rise to tales of blue-skinned men in the sea. A more historical perspective suggests that legends could have originated from the Vikings' encounters with North African slaves known as Moors, whom they might have brought to Scotland. According to legend, the Blue Men occasionally interact with humans by shouting lines of poetry that need to be completed. This interaction typically occurs during rough seas when the risk to ships is greatest. If the human addressed can respond correctly and complete the rhyme, the Blue Men will leave the ship unharmed. However, failure to do so results in the Blue Men creating even greater storms or attempting to capsize the vessel. Westcar Papyrus. The Westcar Papyrus is an ancient Egyptian text renowned for its enchanting tales, often referred to as Tales of Wonder or King Cheops and the Magicians. These narratives unfold during the reign of King Khufu of the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom around 2613 to 2181 BCE. Each story in the papyrus is a tale told by one of Khufu's sons, designed to entertain their father with accounts of magical and wondrous events from the past and predictions for the future. In one memorable segment, Khufu's son, Har-Dedef, decides that experiencing a wonder in real time would be more engaging. He introduces a magician who can perform such wonders, adding to the intrigue of the narrative. The climax of these interconnected stories reveals the magical birth of the first three kings of the 5th dynasty, showing a blend of myth and monarchy that positions the manuscript as more of a cohesive novel than a simple collection of tales. The Westcar Papyrus itself dates back to the Second Intermediate Period, around 1782 to 1570 BCE, but the stories are set much earlier. The papyrus was named after Henry Westcar, who acquired the scroll in 1824 under unknown circumstances while traveling in Egypt. The exact origins of the papyrus remain a mystery since Westcar never disclosed how or where he obtained it. Egyptologist Carl Lepsius later came into possession of the papyrus around 1839, marking the beginning of its scholarly examination. Despite initial challenges in deciphering its content, significant progress was made when Adolf Erman translated the text into German in 1890. Erman's work laid the foundation for understanding these tales as part of Egypt's rich literary tradition. The scroll is a palimpsest, indicating that it was recycled from a previous text, a common practice due to the high cost of writing materials like papyrus. This background adds to the historical intrigue, as it suggests that the stories were valued enough to be preserved on a reused scroll. The tales are thought to have been written originally during the Middle Kingdom, but are set in the Old Kingdom to evoke a nostalgic Golden Age, a literary device aimed at strengthening the moral and social order of the period. Dragon houses in Greece. The dragon houses of Evia, also known as Dracospida, are ancient megalithic structures found in the mountains of Evia, the largest island in Greece after Crete. These structures date back to the pre-classical period of ancient Greece and remained one of the unsolved mysteries of history. There are 23 of these structures, primarily located in the regions of Ochi Mountain and Styra. Despite their name, these buildings have no historical connections to dragons. They are noted for their robust construction, built without mortar and composed mainly of large square or rectangular stones. These structures are assembled in a way that the stones fit tightly without the need for binding materials, showing an advanced understanding of stone construction techniques from the period. One of the most striking features of the dragon houses is their lack of foundations, combined with the use of enormous monolithic stones to create a distinctive pyramid-like shape on the roofs. This construction technique is reminiscent of other ancient architectures, such as the stepped pyramid of Djoser in Egypt and the temples of Titu-Hucan. The location of these dragon houses is as intriguing as their construction. Positioned in strategic high-altitude areas, these stone structures offer extensive views of the surrounding landscapes, suggesting they may have served as lookout points or had some strategic significance. The most notable of these, the Dragon House of Ochi, sits at an altitude of about 1,400 meters, posing questions about the methods used to transport such massive stones to such heights. John Hawkins, an English geologist and geographer, was the first to document the Dracospito on Mount Och in the 19th century. Subsequent research, including excavations and studies of the structure's alignment with astronomical events, suggests these buildings might have had religious or astronomical purposes. Artifacts found within some of these houses, such as pottery fragments with unknown inscriptions and tools, hint at their use over various periods, from the pre-classical to Hellenistic periods. Local legends and historical interpretations suggest that these houses could have been anything from farmhouses to military outposts. The term dragon in their name might not refer to mythical creatures, but to people of significant strength or power, possibly linking the structures to tales of ancient Greek gods or heroes. Despite numerous studies, including those by Professor Nikolaos K. Moutsopoulos, who conducted extensive excavations in the late 20th century, many questions about the dragon houses remain unanswered. Huldufolk. In Iceland, the belief in elves or hidden people is a significant aspect of cultural folklore that intertwines with daily life and the natural landscape. These entities, known as Huldufolk in Icelandic, are described as resembling humans but are considered taller, thinner, and more beautiful. This belief is not just a quaint tale, but is ingrained in the cultural fabric and even influences modern practices such as construction and urban planning. The elves in Icelandic culture are deeply rooted in the nation's mythology, drawing connections to Norse legends and the sagas. Icelandic lore suggests that elves live in a parallel dimension but share the physical space with humans, residing in nature, often in rocks and hills. This has led to numerous accounts of construction projects being altered to avoid disrupting places believed to be inhabited by elves. There are reports of machinery malfunctioning and projects facing inexplicable difficulties, often attributed to the disturbance of elf habitats. The origin of these hidden people is steeped in myth. One popular legend suggests that when God visited Adam and Eve hid the children she hadn't finished washing, and God decreed that those hidden from him would be hidden from mankind. Another tale from John Arneson, often considered Iceland's version of the Brothers Grimm, tells of the elves as spirits who were neither with nor against Lucifer during his rebellion in heaven, and were thus condemned to live hidden on earth. Icelanders believe in elf fairies, with some surveys showing a considerable portion of the population acknowledging their possible existence. This belief manifests in various cultural practices. For instance, on certain days like Christmas and New Year's Eve, it's traditional to leave food out for the elves. These days are significant in folklore as times when elves are particularly active, moving homes and being visible to humans. The Icelandic elf school in Reykjavik, run by Magnus Skarphéðinsson, educates people about these folklore traditions, teaching about elves and other mythical beings like gnomes and trolls. The school shows the depth of belief in these creatures, offering classes that delve into the historical and cultural context of Icelandic folklore. The integration of elf belief in daily life is also evident in environmental considerations. For example, before constructing new buildings or roads, it's not uncommon for an elf whisperer or spiritual meditator to ensure that no sacred elf habitats are disturbed. This practice shows the respect and harmony with which Icelanders treat their natural landscape, believed to be populated by these mystical beings. Sirrush Mushrushu. The Sirrush, also known as Mushrush or Mushrushu, is a mythical creature depicted on the Ishtar Gate in Babylon, resembling a dragon or a griffin. This creature is prominently displayed on the walls and gates of the procession path in Babylon, attracting attention due to its distinctive and complex appearance. The Sirrush is characterized by its horned snake-like head, long neck, scaly body, and a tail akin to that of a serpent. The creature's depiction shows it with a long forked tongue and a single visible horn, although other images suggest it might have two. It has ears covered by flaps of skin, adding to its unique appearance. The front feet of the Sirrush resemble those of a feline, perhaps a leopard or panther, while the hind feet are large, bird-like, and covered with scales, indicating its hybrid nature. This creature is linked to Marduk, a major deity in ancient Mesopotamian religion, often considered a symbol of this god. The Sirrush is known by several names, including Sirrusu Mushusu, which means furious snake or splendor serpent in Akkadian, reflecting its majestic and also fearsome nature. Historically, it was discovered by German archaeologist Robert Koldewey, who conducted excavations of the Ishtar Gate from 1899 to 1917. Koldewey believed in the existence of the Sirrush, arguing that its detailed and consistent depiction alongside real animals like lions suggested that the Babylonians were familiar with this creature, perhaps inspired by sightings of now extinct or unknown animals such as monitor lizards. The Sirrush is also mentioned in connection with several gods across different cities in ancient Mesopotamia. Initially, it was associated with Ishnuna, and later with Tishpak and Ningishida in other regions. By the time of the Babylonian prominence, the Sirrush was depicted as a protector and symbol of Nabut, another major god, who was said to ride it. Despite its mythological connections, some historians speculate that the Sirrush might have been inspired by real creatures, possibly dinosaurs or large reptiles, whose bones could have been interpreted by the ancient Mesopotamians as evidence of such hybrid creatures. The Derveni Papyrus. The Derveni Papyrus, discovered in 1962 near Thessalonica, Greece, is considered one of Europe's oldest surviving texts. This ancient Macedonian papyrus roll dates back to around 340 BC, during the reign of Philip II of Macedon. It is a philosophical treatise providing commentary on an Orphic poem, which includes allegorical interpretations related to Greek religions, religious and philosophical thought. Found in a nobleman's tomb within a large necropolis, the papyrus survived because it was carbonized during the funeral rites. Despite its fragile condition, comprising 266 fragments, extensive efforts have been made to reconstruct it. The text is written in a mixture of Greek dialects, mostly Attic, Ionic, and occasionally Doric. The papyrus's content reveals insights into early Greek philosophical interpretations, theosophical beliefs, and ritual practices. The primary content of the Derveni Papyrus includes a detailed commentary on an Orphic poem that discusses the origins of the gods and cosmic elements from a mythological perspective. The poem starts with a call for secrecy, indicative of the esoteric knowledge contained within. It narrates the succession of divine rulers ending with Zeus, who consolidates power through knowledge from oracles and a series of cosmic and theological events. The commentary suggests that the Orphic verses should not be taken literally, but rather seen as allegorical, with deeper philosophical meanings about the universe and divine authority. This interpretation aligns with the sophistic movement and pre-Socratic philosophical thought, challenging and expanding upon traditional narratives of Greek mythology. The text also touches on rituals, including offerings and spells, and integrates quotes from Heraclitus, showing a blend of religious and philosophical discourse. Were the Merovingians descendants of Jesus Christ? The Merovingian dynasty, known for their status as long-haired kings, ruled as Frankish kings from the 5th century AD, significantly shaping the political landscape of Dark Age Europe. They emerged as prominent rulers after the decline of the Roman Empire, bringing stability and governance to a fragmented region. Originating from the leader Merovich or Merowig, the dynasty's name has mystical roots tied to legends of sea beasts and divine ancestries, reflecting their efforts to legitimize and glorify their rule through supernatural origins. Such tales were common among royal families to cement their authority and mystique. The real power of the Merovingians came from their warrior king Ethos. They maintained their position through military strength, securing victories that expanded and solidified their territory. Kings from this dynasty were noted for their unique tradition of not cutting their hair, which symbolized their royal power and was believed to contain magical properties. One of the most significant rulers of this dynasty, Clovis I, marked a pivotal shift in the dynasty's religious alignment by converting to Roman Christianity, influenced by his wife Clotilda. This conversion was not just a personal transformation, but also a strategic move that strengthened alliances with other Christian kingdoms and the church, enhancing his political power, expanding his influence. Despite their conversion, the Merovingians were known for their brutal tactics in warfare and governance, often targeting wealthy institutions, including the church, to consolidate wealth and power. Their rule was characterized by fierce loyalty among the nobility, secured through the distribution of war spoils and lands. The legend that Merovingians were descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, however, is a modern myth without historical evidence. It was popularized by conspiracy theories and works of fiction like the Da Vinci Code that lack support from contemporary Merovingian sources or credible historical records. Such theories take advantage of the dynasty's legendary origins and their significant impact on European history to weave an intriguing but untrue and unfounded narrative. Dictys of Crete. Dictys of Crete, also known as Dictys of Cretinus, is a figure in the context of the Trojan War, often overshadowed by the Homeric epics, but offering a unique perspective on the events. According to ancient texts, Dictys was a Cretan who participated in the Trojan War alongside Idomeneus, the king of Crete. His work, known as the Ephemeris Belli Trojani Journal of the Trojan War, purported to be a daily account of the Trojan War, detailing the battles, strategies, and diplomacy from an eyewitness's perspective. This account provides a contrast to the mythological embellishments typical of Homer's narratives. The importance of Dictys of Crete's work lies in its alleged authenticity and detail, suggesting it might be the closest account to a war report from the era. The text was supposedly discovered in the 1st century AD, buried with Dictys, and later translated from Greek to Latin during the reign of Nero. This discovery and subsequent translations show the enduring interest in Trojan War narratives and their influence on Roman culture. The content of Dictys' work is less mythological and more grounded in military and political realities than the Homeric epics. Dictys does not dwell on divine interventions or heroic single combats, but rather on realistic descriptions of military campaigns, sieges, and the hardships of war. His account suggests that the Trojan War, rather than being a conflict based solely by the abduction of Helen, was part of broader geopolitical tensions in the Aegean region. Moreover, the text of Dictys has been influential in shaping medieval and Renaissance perceptions of the Trojan War. It provided a more historical and less mythological foundation for writers and historians who sought to understand the ancient past. The narrative of Dictys was considered a reliable source for those looking to align the legendary aspects of the Trojan War with the historical framework. The figure of Dictys himself has a lot of mystery around it. While some scholars believe he may have been a real historical figure, others argue that the detailed knowledge of military and political matters in his work suggests that it could have been composed later, possibly by a scholar with a deep understanding of Greek warfare and politics.